About chat. There it is. Ah, didn't do anything this time. I mean, I opened up the advanced chat or the advanced options thinking maybe there was something in there to change up. They can always change.
So basically same order as last time.
Yeah, you don't need to get the extra thingies because we have the things in the thing in the freezer to fry it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheese bread still?
Sure. I'm not in a really thinky mood. I'm trying to, in case anything shows up here, I'm trying to talk with Cherry about a totally different topic. And I told him it's okay to barf up Dutch in me. I can send it through the translator. But, like, I don't know how many people take blah. So there's still people like, oh, you live in Nord. No, I don't live in Nord. I live in Oost. Oh, nearby? I live on Zeeberger Island. Oh, in Nord. I'm like, you guys have no clue where this island is. And Cherry's like, hey, look, I have a little bit of, I now work at a company over in NDSM. Maybe you and Aaron can come by for the McDonald's. And I'm like, NDSM is way the hell over there. And I realized I need something to drink before the chat pops up. What we got? Oh, no. We got nothing yet.
Yes, we are part of those. I understand why people think we're part of North.
Oh, I get it too. I've done the stuff, but I'm like, I told people I actually live in Scottsdale Oost. I get all my mail from Scottsdale Oost. Plus, NDSM is also the other side of Nord. It's not even this side. Want to talk on the stream? Keep WhatsApp open with one melding in. Because I know it's like easier, it's completely understood, it's easier for the Dutch to just barf up a whole paragraph in Dutch sometimes, because rather than trying to figure out the sentence structure and stuff for English. And they don't get it sometimes. I get it. I'm totally cool with it, but sometimes it's like, meh. Map plot library?
Mm-hmm.
Mat, not
Map.
Okay.
Map? Yeah.
Fitbit's telling me I was an overachiever today. Okay. Wear your Fitbit to bed. I have. You're just not tracking anything anymore for some reason. You tracked Sunday. Yeah, but which Sunday? You tracked the 6th. Oh, you broke. Because last Sunday was when I wore it out to team practice. And it got ripped off my body. Yeah. It tracks literally everything else, just not my sleep. It just doesn't track my sleep anymore. Days of exercise this week, totally understandable. 9 out of 9, you did it. Oh, it's at 37%. I'm going to be sitting here on the live stream. I could probably charge it. I already went crazy with stuff today. So. All right. Do some stuff on trains. Got 2 viewers. 6 minutes. All right. All my trains are busy. I should probably check up on Terragenesis. Water's down below a flooding risk, but
that's good.
Yeah. But since I've been dealing with building a lot of money infrastructure and letting it go for a long time, I have a lot of money. So I researched the spaceport, built a spaceport, and now I have like a couple satellites. So what is the goal? 287,000 millikelvins. It's going to wreak havoc on the planet, but the Soleto one that I have is does the temperature of the planet. Which is nice because that way I don't have to worry. Yeah, it's now just like flooring the temperature. I have 12 kilometers of ice. I can always turn this thing down if I have to. I forget where my cities are. But it's going to take a while for the ice to melt after a fashion. But at least I have that Soletta, so in case I do accidentally, for some reason, flood the planet, I can freeze it. I think right now I'm going to have the chat open on the side, obviously. I'm just going to go check to see the price of stuff on Star Trek Online. That was unduly loud.
Yeah. What was it?
It's just Arc.
Oh,
Arc's messaging. You have one new message. Probably, hey, did you realize that there's something new in Star Trek Online? But Arc's like, we don't actually know. Just go check Star Trek Online. Freaking someone who'd been following me for like a couple of weeks on TikTok, they commented on one of the videos, are you growing a beard? I was like, no, I'm just super autistic and shave once a week. And in some lightings, it looks way darker than it actually is. No. Complete Romulan space patrols. No. Sold a lot of things on the exchange, so I'm making sure that they're all marked as red. But apparently I have a piece of mail that was unread and then unsent. So I now have a permanent, you have mail. And even if I delete all my mail, it still says I have mail. Yeah, that's dumb. I know. Not much. Just checking on some things on Star Trek Online while this stuff gets sorted out. I'm doing the parade of ads on a game to get long-standing rewards about stuff. Parahull in space. Fall into that one. Destroy dreadnoughts. That's easy. Win GPO playing Dalo. All right, well.
that's super easy.
Yeah. You can do that at I'm gonna do that at freaking Ryza if I need to. Build a new mine. See about getting some iron around here somewhere. Please don't tell me I just flew past it. Whoa! Stop! There's the gateway. This stupid quantum slipstream. Once you engage it, it like doesn't stop. It like you can engage it, but then your freaking course. Hey, I want to go here. You just don't sprint to it. I've now had a whole week moved in with my roommate. It's actually kind of weird. Oh, do tell. I'm actually kind of interested in how it's weird. I didn't have such weirdness when I moved out my first time. So. It just felt like I was in a room unattached to my parents' house. Oh my goodness, you have the slightest bit of swear words, and I have to always authorize your stuff. To be fair, this thing is a little bit antsy about saying the word shit, but live chats are. I say it's not marked for kids, so that maybe it would be a little looser, but your your little idle conversation words tend to block a lot. I'd have to say about a quarter of your stuff I have to hit show on. I'm not hearing any conflict from people arguing about petty shit. That'll happen. I can have guys over and it's not awkward yet. I'm not having to deal with noisy pets.
Yeah.
Yet. And until I find a new job, I basically have a whole house to myself most of the day. That is not that it's all cracked up to be. Like, you're gonna be. It's one of those things of like, vacation seems good at first. Going on vacation to like Amsterdam seems a bit intense, and if you're here for like 2 weeks or something, it sounds absolutely amazing. And then like after a while, you're like, okay, okay, okay. And the more exotic places you go, hello, Leandro. The more exotic places you go, the more weird it is. What are you doing with the blanket? You don't even know what to do. Come on, you're stupid. If this is super loud, tell me, guys. I'm not sure if this is pumping the sound from the speakers or from the internal computer stuff. Are you low on health? Yes. Yeah, go crazy. You want to be around. Wait, your roommate wants to work from home. Most people do these days.
Yeah.
You'd go crazy doing that. There is a lot to breaking out into the world that you need to. I think the term, what weirdly is coming in my head, is you need to meet that out your own. You know, weird. I think it's an archaic term to say that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think, and it's the METE word. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's really hard to have lived at my parents' and boomeranged back to my parents. And at the boomerang, like all the stuff after I moved out, I thought was like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with this anymore. And then I boomeranged back later, and it wasn't even that big a deal. I had sat there and I brooded. I hate that word. But bread is a lot weirder. I stewed on those topics and things, and I made them way bigger than they really are. And I know a lot of other people sit in like -2 situations versus a -10 is, absolutely abusive Stockholm syndrome stuff. And they tune it up so much because all that stuff. But when you actually go back, it's like, nah, not bad. All I know is I need to be active and social while I work so I can avoid existential dread I get in isolation. I am going to say something with a little bit of a dark. I'm going to use some pretty
Just say it.
dark. You're not going to be able to get past the existential dread.
Yeah, it's part of all of us at this point.
Active and social isn't not going to help. That's monumentally hard to do. Like, it's one of those things of like, you don't know. You don't. It's just not a thing. Like, that's why a lot of people have just gone completely cray cray, is because their only friends and stuff were coming from being around people in high school and then in college and all that stuff. And then they get out to the real world and they're like, I don't actually know how to function without being forced around people. Like, even me, I feel isolated in a group of people. And to be fair, I do seek out how to be isolated within a group. God, guys, your tractor beam repulsors can go fuck themselves. Tell me you're a true Trekkie without telling me I'm a true Trekkie. I swear while I'm playing this game. Fucking space lightning. But, because, like, living abroad, you can find the flags of isolation. Like, it feels like in this whole building entrance, I don't want to say the whole complex, because apparently that's the parking garage down beneath qualifies the whole complex. Anyways, but like the entrance we go in for the elevators that access the little 90-degree hallway, it feels like Aaron and I, we're not obviously the only expats. There's people in the group that speak other stuff, but it feels like we're the ones that are a bit the most grounded. There's a lot of people here that just complain over the smallest things. And I'm like, oh my God, guys. Like, how, they're like, oh my God, it is like 19 in my apartment. I'm freezing to death. I'm like, what? It is freezing outside.
I can't get the heat down below 21. I'm dying of heat.
I know. I'm like, I'm sitting here and like, Aaron could go over to the Ethel Delarop thing and like find out what temperature it currently is in here. It's probably like 24 degrees.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's in the low 70s inside our apartment. I don't care. Happens to me, but not as often. So I think I'm good in that regard. I just need certain tastes to keep my mind busy. 20 years ago, I would be able to read that and have the hope that, oh my God, he's got it figured out. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really hope that you do have it figured out. Because there's a lot of people at that age that are like, yeah, I had it figured out. And then they don't. And then they figure it out. Then they figure out a little bit more. And they think they're on top of the world. And they realize they don't. And it's this weird cycle of losing your complete shit. Just finding a job without help wasn't a full-time job in of itself. Finding a job without help? There's help? What sort of fundamentally progressive state do you live in where there's help for finding work? I lived in fucking Oregon. Yeah, the unemployment line was like, you know, and whatever that worker system thing was, you went to that crappy little
Yeah.
mall where like food stamps was, but they had like a workforce or whatever that thing was called across the hallway. Man, you walked in there and like the security cameras were looking down on you. Sometimes physically because they were on the ceiling, but it's, you know what I mean. Well, I know I don't have most things figured out and probably never will. I choose not to care at this point. I'm happier with that. I know that this is steak and that the computer program is telling me that this is steak and that I'm supposed to respond to this as if it were steak. But I know that it is just a computer program and that my brain thinks it's a steak.
You know what I've decided?
Ignorance is bliss. Oh, I need to get to the bag. Full impulse, let's go. Where's the bag? We're gonna get there they come. Fox fleet approaching. Need to kill dreadnoughts, so I need to get. There's a lot of people in here right now. Workforce development went through them last year when my disability case went underway. Might have to go through them again. Not sure yet. Yeah. Workforce development. I hate it. I hate it so much. Is it's like they I don't know. It's just I just it's frustrating because I remember all the things they're like, yeah, just fill out this form and do this and you'll be fine, you'll get a job. And then you're just like, I'm kind of terrified about customer service, and they're like, you're denying a job and you don't understand how it means to have, like, they're all fucking boomers in there and expect everyone to be functional as a boomer. Oh, well, they're better about disability stuff. Then you go to the disability section and they're like, so, can you make cookies for like less than minimum wage because you're disabled? And like everybody else there is like in a wheelchair that can pat cookies or something like that. Like, I don't know if it was just the complete group I was in, but there was a lot of physically retarded people in that group. And I was like, like they didn't understand. Nobody understood autism in the early 2000s. Hopefully it's better now, but it's still just like, what? Inventory is full. Of course it is. I'm out. I'll pick up everything. Pretty decent job coach. Still in touch with him too. I couldn't deal with the Vancouver, Washington job coaches. They had no care for anybody. They were literally number punching. That's it. Like, trying to get you a job was just a quota for them. And they had tons of people that could functionally do it. The only good job coach that I had was a retired youth pastor. He kept trying to send me to Jesus. I was like, bro, no. What are you doing? Huh. only righteous people can get jobs or something. I don't know what he was doing, but he was like super happy and super into everything. There we go with another show held for review. We seem to fall in that lovely middle ground of being fucked up enough. It's a problem, but not fucked up enough to where we get the kind of help we could use. Well, like I said, you're lucky because you came into the whole United States understanding autism way later than I did. So they've made the accommodations for it. Like, by the time I was in the process of getting diagnosed and having fun stuff dealing with me, they were dealing with it with like DSM-4 and all that stuff. And, you know, they were starting to diagnose kids. Like, to the point of like some people at Clark College, their little workforce system or school help are like, oh, well, we see here that you're diagnosed with a high-functioning autism. What sort of vocational therapy did you go through as a kid? I was diagnosed 2 years ago when I was 23. Oh, so what vocational stuff did you have as a kid? I was in Catholic school. There was no vocational stuff. Oh, well, we don't know how to help you then if you didn't have any vocational training as a child due to your autism. Like, there have been like a couple frustrating things as jokes on TikTok, and there's many times I experienced those things when trying to work in a warehouse. Oh, you can only work here if you have forklift training. Where do I get forklift training? At a warehouse like this one. Can I work here to get forklift training? No, in order to work here, you need forklift training. There was a great number of things in the workforce in the United States that seemed like doomed to fail. Like, I didn't actively seek out disability benefits. I mean, it did, but after a while, even mom suggested it because it was like, you know, it was better than nothing because the world was not designed that way. It was really funny. It was during the hearing when we had to go to and mom showed up. Like, she came out of the room just absolutely in tears, and I'm like, what? Like, I had this weird idea that mom had to go into that thing, give up a bunch of information, and tell her version of the truth. And I was actually afraid that mom telling the truth was not going to get me disability because she urged me to get disability, but then had to tell the truth about what she actually thought about it. I think that was that one little rock that started falling from the wall that mom was probably two different people after a fashion. Like, yeah. The problem is there's something in Loki that hit me way harder than it should have. Because it was just, you know, not wanting to, after a fashion, it was not wanting to accept the role that you play in the world. That his role through his entire mortal life was to make other people the best version of themselves. He was, you know, to an extent, a catalyst, but he was never the good guy. He caused everyone else to become good guys, to be after a fashion. And sometimes I feel that way about myself. So many people around me have gotten their quote unquote happy ending. And I'm like, but me. Kind of had disability forced on me. I'm still not entirely sure if I need it or not. My mom was the same way. She thought I needed it because of how badly I was doing in Hawaii. Yeah. Hawaii is a very unique economy, I guess we'll say. Because of limited space, they have, you know, limited jobs, obviously, and limited resources, and a drastically growing population from either people growing the population or people just getting sick and tired of the United States or the continental United States and wanting to move to paradise. So it's a weird economy, and you can have a lot of trouble there and be functionally normal. You can have excessive problems because it's a high stakes, almost scarcity environment, just because of the size and the desirability of people outside. But having disability forced on you sounds weird. I mean, I actively searched it out, but I was reluctant to do it. Like it wasn't forced upon me. I voluntarily walked through that gate with my shoulders hung and my head down. Overall control is climbing. Am I even near? Oh, I'm literally on top of one. I'm looking around at like that. Where's the post I'm supposed to be at? I'm supposed to be at one of these. Oh, I'm literally over the top of it. I don't think I'll ever find myself in that stressful or drastic a situation again. I mean, needing it was never really a problem for me. I never needed it. Just yeah. It helped in some situations. Oh, my electrolysis plant went bye-bye. Cool, that's not even... Oh, it got downgraded. Still, I wasn't at a flooding risk, but I had a bunch of things get all messed up. All right, let's go back. Nothing's going to show up there. By the time we're growing overall control, is that right? So far, it's been more trouble than it's been worth. It will never be worth the trouble, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It will always, that's the point of it, after a fashion, is to make it more trouble than it's worth. The goal, after a fashion with disability, is to either keep you on it indefinitely in a very
limited life fashion, or to get you off of it by any means necessary, even if it means scamming you, and tricking you into doing something dumb. Not helping you off of it, because that actually costs more money. But yeah, because it took like years to go through. Like, we were living in G351. I had just had my gallbladder attack when we went for the application. I didn't get it for like 3 or 4 years after that. And then, nope, I want Deep Space Nine.
And so I had that giant back check, and everything was good and everything was looking up. And then I got the letter that says, you need to spend this in 9 months. And I was like, wait, what? And I had no idea about that money requirement. Even now,
it's weird, because we are definitively in no need of my disability, and I'm still getting it outside the United States, and I'm still subjected to the rules of keeping money in my bank account under a certain amount, or they're going to start flooding my mother-in-law with mail, because the government understands that I live overseas, but really doesn't ever want to mail anything here for me. So, because they don't have the functionality of putting letters into their zip code, I think. They have such an antiquated system.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel and win.
0, 9, 20, bet, gold press Latinum. Bet 1,000 on each of them. What do I need to win? 3,000. Watch me get a Dabo and blow that out of the water. Nope. 1,500 and 150. A little over halfway towards my goal. And then again, the U.S. is entering a stagflation period. No, there's no such thing as stagflation.
You can inflate.
And you can deflate. There's no stagflation is what they want to happen, but that's not a thing. Like, stagnant and inflation are oppositional. Like, people have probably coined the term because it's cool, but it's not a thing. But yeah, that's some of the things that guys on the team don't really quite get about some of my anxieties and not feeling good enough is about the whole crap with disability in the States. Spearhead. Have you gone down in price? No. Billion easy. You know, it's just one of those things that digs in me and, like, haunts me. And therapists and I were trying to get to the root of it. Doing the Freud thing and blaming mom for it. You know, it's probably not all mom. It could have been even the teachers in Catholic school having high standards and all that jazz.
Exit out of Star Trek Online. But yeah, I know that stagflation isn't a thing, but I also am like, I don't really know what's going on in the United States. I hear the over-the-top news that comes out, mostly about the anti-vaxxers. But they are weird. That's, that's mostly what we hear about. And that apparently 2021 is worse than 2020. I'm like, y'all are fucking vaccinated now. How is this work? And, Aaron and I have kind of tried to figure out how it's worse, but it still doesn't make it like worse than 2020 after we figured out some bad things, but I don't know how they're mumbling now. Mm-hmm. I blame my teachers in the U.S. work ethic for the majority of stuff messed up in my head, but I choose not to care about their standards anymore. Try not to anyway. Good for you. Not caring about their standards is a noble goal until you have to function within their standards. And if you don't care about their standards, you're not going to meet their standards, and they're not going to do anything with you. There's a yeah. And I wouldn't say it's the U.S. work ethic system. It would be, because my therapist was a little bit hesitant when I was talking about that same thing, the U.S. work ethic. And she goes, I don't think that's it. Because a work ethic, by and large, is on the spectrum of like productive to lazy. And it's your outlook on your work. It's not necessarily the U.S. work ethic system, because there's a lot of people like Aaron, his work ethic improved by just changing his job from call center to data analyst. He was happier as a data analyst with the lawyers, and then they let him go, and he was on unemployment for a while, and then went to a call center as like, I need work, and then got back into data analytics, and his mood turned up. And so work ethic is variable by job. It's not an overall United States culture. I know what you're getting at. I'm trying to find the word for it. Just work ethic is not the quite right thing. It's
culture.
I guess it would be the hyper-capitalist culture. That there's so much and it all feeds upon itself. It's like the workers are dumb, the workers are placid, the workers are doing what they need to do. They're not very happy, but they're not motivated enough to leave. And you just work them to death. And if you don't work yourself to death, what are you doing? That's not your work ethic. That's different. And I have that. If you don't work yourself to death, are you even working at all? That's what you're talking about. And that's not work ethic. But then again, also, I don't know the word for it, but it is, to expand, it's toxic work ethic.
It's like masculinity is not bad. Toxic masculinity is bad. But what caused it is not US culture, it's the capitalist culture of sorts. Imagine some messed up stuff happening in 20-something years. Well, we had a lot of little kids who've lived through the pandemic have a lot of mental issues to deal with in the coming years. I don't know what you mean by little kids. Because what I would consider, what I think you think is little kids is like toddlers, like up to the age of 6, ones that haven't really, the ones that weren't in school yet for the pandemic. They're at a weird stage of life where things can mess them up, but the benefits they've had after a fashion from this pandemic are actually going to not really affect them, because while their parents have been stressed, their parents have been home more. And even if their parents haven't been trying to shuttle them around and shove them off to daycare and do this, and their parents have been home, and I'm not saying that every child is that way, but there's a general bulk of children who have probably benefited by the work at home thing. In fact, some of even the parents on TikTok are like, yeah, I get to spend more time with my kids. Even if it's, I just get to sit here and work at the thing. They can come ask me a question if they're curious about something, rather than ask some mindless babysitter who's trying to watch 30 kids in a room. I almost want to call it the corporate mentality rather than the work mentality. Did you see here's my issue is I record a video, and then as I'm editing it, I always think about it the day of, but then I post it the next day. So you guys experience my Tuesday video on Wednesday, if you watch it the day it comes out. Where I actually talk about like the imposter syndrome stuff. Again, I'm not going to go through the process of trying to diagnose and make sure that gets done, but I'm definitely going to be bringing up with my therapist probably in September when I go back to see her. How to resolve some of the, like I'm not going to self-diagnose imposter syndrome or ADHD or go through tests to get those things done, but I'm definitely going to recognize flags that those things have that I do and see if I can mitigate them, which I think I told my therapist about that, and she's like, that's really healthy to do. I'm like, yeah. Some kids are losing the ability to read facial cues because everyone is wearing masks. No,
they're not.
And obviously child abuse situations getting so much. Yes. And as I was saying through my thing, it's not every child. You can't blanket statement that like the little kids, without a quantifier in there, even if a nebulous quantifier, that leads to the generalization of them all. So there are some kids that got it really big. There are some kids that had it worse because they were in, their escape was going to daycare, was going to their parents going to work, them being able to physically go to school. That was their escape. And in other cases, if their mom was like the soccer mom and was always busy trying to get here, do this appointment, do that appointment, suddenly they don't have that. So some kids are going to come out of this, and it's going to be mixed throughout society. And, Generation Alpha, I think is what they're called. They're going to be meh. They're going to be out there doing their thing. I'm going to go get my cold drinks. I bounced around a lot. Well, I was bouncing around a lot on the bus because the bus driver was lead foot on gas and brake. Saw a guy at the Krausland tram stop. He's regularly home, he's homeless. I've seen him before. He doesn't really talk to anyone. It's fine, but he's got that physical thing, and I'm not sure if it's like excessively drunk or he's high or if he's just like physically retarded, but he's like he just like his tongue just like wants to push its way out of his mouth and he has to pull it back in, and his eyes are in like 4 different directions. What's cool is he actually puts his mask on when he gets on the tram to go one stop in between the grocery stores that he's panhandling outside of. The problem is the mask is thoroughly gross right in front, because while he's wearing his mask, he's like, nah. I'm like, I kind of feel like I want to give him a new mask, but then it's one of those things you admonish a homeless person so they don't leave you alone because they've got memory like steel traps. Yeah, Zachary, I don't know if, like I said, if you watch the it's the therapy video, the one after therapy. I'm right next to Hair and Krat. It was the outflow of the wave that hit. We had the Crux event. We had the Crux triggering event that happened technically on Friday. It got more fuel last Saturday because, yeah. And then, what do we got here? Yeah, the yearning for better times was me in between. I think I recorded that after the midday crying fit, and I stopped going, and I said I wasn't going to go to what's its bucket with Gabriel, and then just stayed home. And then Aaron and I went to go. What did we? Oh, we were going to go print stuff, and realized that my thing showed up for the questionnaire. But that was Saturday, and then I went back to pads and practice, and look, 14 comments. My whole brain thought press looks at the comments on the video where I lost my shit at the end, and I'm like, oh look, losing my shit generates comments. Do it more, melt down more on camera. I mean, that's what all the YouTube guides say. YouTube content creator studio stuff. If you see that there's a wonderful spike in activity on one of your videos, replicate that. It drives more success for your channel. I get their innocence to it, but it doesn't apply in every situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the video titled, oh, Numbers Blow Your Mind. And Setting Things Right. I still don't know if if the first set of numbers blew your mind. I know Matt saw the ones about the moon, which the reason why numbers blow your mind is it was going to be titled something different about the base 12 system at the beginning, and then like therapy. Like this was supposed to be like, I think the original title I was going off of is Counting by 12s Removes or Deletes Teenagers. That I'm just going to do that one, and then like there was going to be the comma and something about therapy. But while I was talking after therapy and I made the moon illusion, I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And then I did the fucking math at home in the middle of editing, walked with my phone, and Aaron's laying in bed. I was like, blah, 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 blah. And Aaron like dropped his phone. Like, you're sitting here like this on the bed, and it just went, oh. Oh. Because of course you calculated that, TJ. Of course you did. And then the fun, what is that thing? Tap Air Portugal is a what acronym?
Recursive.
Recursive acronym. And the fact that geostationary Earth orbit. It's geo. So when you look at it, it says geostationary Earth orbit. What's that? Why are those three in caps? Because it means geostationary Earth orbit. But yeah, and that one, I'm starting to put chapters in because I realize that sometimes I talk about multiple subjects, especially on like Tuesdays when I'm running around town, is I'll say something from the morning. And I always have to put intro in because that's just how that chapters things functions. So it's how the system recognizes it, but it allows you to find out where, because it says here in the description that 7 minutes, 7 seconds is the post-therapy recovery thing. But
it was like the day before I'd heard, and that's also Matt talked about, he forgot about Amish Paradise. He brought up ADD earlier. Me and my roommate both have it, and the conversations we have are such a roller coaster. I would not honestly suspected that you had it, considering you are so blindingly focused on certain topics that you circle back to them from irrelevant points of conversations. And I'm like, I probably do. Yeah. What?
Off my neck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
The music video for Amish Paradise brought back memories from childhood. Yeah. It was really funny because I actually played Gangster's Paradise, the music video, because Aaron hadn't heard it in a while and he had heard Amish Paradise way more than Gangster's Paradise. But as I was playing Gangster's Paradise, he was like, okay, no, I do know this song. It's not one of those that like I know all the lyrics because Kathy was obsessed with that song for a while. You do not get my sister. You do not fucking grok that woman. And so I like listened to it a lot. And so I'm sitting there, but I'm also sitting on the couch singing along with the verses of Gangster's Paradise, the refrain or the chorus from Amish Paradise, switching back to the verses of Gangster's Paradise. And every once in a while, Aaron's like, you're not singing. Like you did. You had this occasional head twitch when I was actually singing all the lyrics to Gangster's Paradise.
Turn in month of butter. Raised a barn on Monday. Soon we'll raise another.
That's most alive. But that's the thing is like, it was a mashup. But that's what I was talking about in the thing is because the treadmill I'm on is not quiet. Plus, usually where I can view and I can see the little planetarium sculpture. It's not an whatever Huygens. There's a window that pops open, like that one back there is popped open in the top. And so sometimes I get a lot of street noise if a car goes by. And about 2 treadmills down, the wall that holds the fucking building, it's a pole, I think, that holds the building up, has the speaker on it. And it also has a little like paper towel thing and like trash on it in case you need to wipe something down. Cool. Sanitize. Corona. Totally makes sense. But the speaker over there had it on like that low volume. And I was like, is that Gangsta's Paradise or Amish Paradise? I don't know which one I'm listening to. And here's the thing. My brain went, I can't narrow it down by being here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. They have a 50-50 chance of playing either one. But that's the thing is like at Fred Meyer or like any of the grocery stores back in the States, the grocery stores never played my jams. I came here, everywhere is playing my jams. Okay, except for Yan. I don't know why. He's really super into like Czech rap, and I don't. But because of his wonderful playlist is about my TikTok, that if you're not using Caramel Dancing to motivate your receivers, you're just asking to lose. Because he doesn't have it on there. He gets his little speaker, his little like tube speaker thing, his pill, and he takes it over there and hooks it up with his phone and he plays music for the receivers. And I'm just like, really? I'm not saying that it won't motivate people, but I don't get it. Why that level of heavy mumble rap motivates them. It's Europe. It's not Amsterdam. It's Europe. There is a recent meme of meme, we'll call it, that has come across in the last couple days on TikTok. And I love the videos involved in it. And I wonder if it's already in the hashtags has made a bunch of videos. And in a word sense, it makes sense, but it's really hard to go and say, I don't necessarily think the Dutch ever knew the plot. And it kind of goes with a lot of other Europeans. Like, it just feels like Europe lost the plot.
Grandma lost the plot.
Yeah, the first video that Aaron saw part of it was, my grandma has not been outside in 3 or 4 months. And the first thing she did was she went to the fucking skate park. And here is grandma. She looks like she should belong in Abe Simpson's retirement home. One of the short old ladies that's so frail, a gust of wind can knock her off her scooter and shatter all 50 million bone fragments she still has left. She's on the skate park on her electric scooter. Whee! And then she gets down to the bottom and the thing just comes to a rest and she's like, and it's just like, my grandma has lost the plot. Yeah, that's, and then there was another one of like, it was the dog. He doesn't like things in his pool. But be careful. He gets so frustrated he loses the plot. And he's like, not the pug. He's not a pug, but he's like a little bit bigger than a pug. And he's just frustrated because they keep throwing sticks in the plastic kiddie pool. And he picks up sticks and he throws them out. And they throw in 2 sticks and he picks up both sticks and he throws them out. And they throw another stick and he picks it up. Next thing you know, he's grabbed the pool by its thing and he's just spinning around in a circle for the rest of the video. You'd be like, the dog just loses the plot. And I look around and I'm just like, I don't think the Dutch ever had the plot, and thus they made each their own little plots, and they function as a society that way. But that also would apply that I'm being dumb and applying the American plot to the Dutch. So
on the rest of the world. What's your country's biggest flex on the rest of the world?
The water is our bitch. The water is our command. And if the water fights back, we build a fucking dam.
What's your
there's multiple videos where they stitch that with the guy and they're like over the Afsluitdijk. And they're just like panning back and forth as they're like just over on the Afsluitdijk. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. They literally looked at this giant lake and were like, this thing is fucking us up. We don't like it. What? We built a fucking dam. I'm actually going to look up that thing, Lost the Plot. I'm going to see if this is already a thing. No, I'm not. I got to go to the hashtags first. There we are. It's got 20 million. Who died? Oh, shit. There's an ambulance down there trying to figure out how to get into the skate park.
Oh,
Oh, no. I think someone just may have twisted their ankle up there. Top level. Far side. Whatever.
yeah.
It all look upside down. I go bouncy, 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 bouncy on the trampoline.
Was it 4 months into the pandemic? I just up and bought this trampoline and I've lost the plot. But that's like Aaron and I have been, we were kind of thinking about that we moved here and after the winter, like before the collarbone break happened, was I'd made this crazy ass, almost an idle prediction that something was going to have to fuck up the United States. And Aaron's like, hey, did that happen? I'm like, no, it hasn't happened yet. The breaking event didn't happen. It was in the process of happening. But right before the significant crack that would have broken the foundation happened, they went through hyper-vaccination. And it mitigated a lot of that major crack, that major boom that was going to happen. The problem is now people are there are conservatives that are like, I'll get the vaccine for everybody. Like, they're not fully crazy conservatives, but now they're just sort of like, wait a second, why were all the vaccines free? Apparently we can't afford, like insulin for however many percent of the population needs it. Or, other life-saving medications. Why do those cost money? If suddenly this vaccine is apparently free for everyone, get it whenever you want. Vaccines for everyone. So the not the medical infrastructure, but the medical system has gotten some cracks in it. the work from home. I'm happier working at home. I get to spend time with my family. I don't have to be stressed. I don't have to sit for an hour and a half in traffic.
I don't have to spend $20 each way twice a week.
Yeah, I know, going to Eindhoven and all that stuff, but that's the thing, is like getting out and about and just, you know, and then having to dress up for work per se. Because like, how many people went to work to a position that they didn't really interact with people, but they had to maintain dress attire. That word flew out of my head so fucking fast. Decorum. They had to maintain decorum. And so, but now it's like, I don't need to wear a suit to a job. All right. I don't need to wear a suit. I'm only wearing a suit for the decorum of the workplace. And the only people that ever, it doesn't make any sense. And like people that they have to be on a video call. Okay, I'll go put on my suit for the video call. And then they'll go back to dress. You know, like this with underwear and shorts. Oh, what about Washington State? What's happening up there and that bullshit? Heard of Washington State, they're basically bribing people with free joints to get the vaccine. Oh, come on. In West Virginia, they're bribing with shotguns. You think bribing with weed? They're doing it in shotguns in West Virginia.
And rifles.
Oh, yeah. You get your choice.
No.
Oh, it's both?
It's a lottery.
Oh.
5 custom shotguns and 5 custom rifles.
Who is that? It had that British kid. I follow him because he's just hilarious. I keep forgetting his name, but it's one of those that I can immediately, the moment I see his name, I'm like, aha, yep, I know who you are. Unless I didn't follow him. Like, I followed a lot of his YouTube channels, YouTube stuff for a while, but how many people are actually going to keep working from home and how many people are going to crack after a while and go out and get an in-person job? I don't think. See, a lot of people that are working from home are like demanding that you can work from home. They're not, they're not going to get, if they'd have cracked by now. That's the bonus of this thing lasting as long as it did. If working from home lasted for some ungodly fucking reason, if we lasted is the whole pandemic, we started in March and we lasted until July, and that was it, nothing would have been fixed. But we had shit happen in the fall and we had to go through a winter. Like, we were already kind of done with winter in a lot of places when it happened. Northern climates, hello. But working from home for a little bit didn't really hit much. But like working from home, distance learning, that hit almost a whole school year. Distance learning happened. It's sort of like when I moved to Vancouver. We were still commuting down to Salem for the last 3 months of the school year. And that was tough to wake up so early and eat breakfast in the car and finish up any little bit of homework so mom could drop us off. And then we have to wait around for mom to get off work and then drive an hour or hour and a half home, depending on what route she took. And I hated 205 because it was boring because I wanted to look at downtown Portland because it was way more interesting to look at than the rolling, burned out, healed hills of 205. But you don't get any planes flying over your head on I-5. Anyways, but yeah, that's what would have happened. Like we would have endured for the last 3 months with like distance learning and work from home, and then the summer would have been generally everybody's break. And if that was the end of that, September would have come back. I'd have had a football season. School would have started back up. Football, the NFL wouldn't have had a problem. Everything would have been back to normal, and it would have been a speed bump. The first 3 months were nothing. The extension that happened in the fall and the winter was what really drove it home. To be fair, in the United States, things were still going crazy in the summer because, you know, they do what they do. Lucky enough to work from home since the pandemic started. I'm ready to go back to the office a couple times a week. Granted, my office is literally a 5-minute drive, and that's totally fine. You know, staying at home, there are things that even with Aaron's job, like it's sometimes easier if you are all like in the office one day, like you guys watch videos, the days he starts a sprint would be so much easier if everybody was in the office.
Yeah.
And you only had 1 or 2 people remoting in, you know, to a centralized source, but you didn't have to worry about other things, and you could like bang around with each other and like chit chat throughout the day rather than typing it up and getting. But like he doesn't need to go to the office every day. Like Wednesdays is not a day he needs to necessarily go into the office. Sort of thing. Some people who genuinely thrive like that, and some people think they can do it, but probably won't last long. Loses its luster after a while. Yeah. What was I saying at the beginning about living on your own? And with roommates? It's going to lose its luster after a while. People are going to tire of it. But that's why I'm saying, like, this happened for an extended period already. I imagine there's going to be some awful people who didn't get to attend their graduation last year and are going to use it to guilt trip their kids into doing stuff. I am drinking age above my high school graduation. That's a way of saying it. The United States drinking age above my high school graduation. I have not, to be fair, I didn't even graduate high school because credit issues, but got my GED within like 2 months after that. After a while, they're the same fucking thing. You are accredited by the state to have passed a high school education. It's just that you didn't, with a GED, you didn't have to go through your high school, you didn't have to go through your school district's requirements. But if your state did it, the federal considers it done. And I passed everything on the GED with flying colors. I just didn't want to do the homework, so I failed a couple classes and didn't get credits. But guilting their kids into doing stuff? No. No, don't apply boomer thinking to Gen Z. Don't. Because Gen Z already realizes that things don't really matter. I believe that, you know, there's been a lot of people that have had their senior years stolen from them. And people my age would probably have had that. You know, I've heard people who had car accidents because they got their license at 16 and thought they were NASCAR drivers by the time they were 17 and got into a terrible car wreck and didn't able to last their senior year and weren't able to walk down the aisle at graduation and all that jazz. But no, that's extenuating circumstances. This is a group of people. It's not, you know, you can't not one person can be a little tiny island of sippy sad because of an extenuating circumstance. You have millions of kids going through the same thing. They're gonna cancel each other out. Like right now, the elder millennials are bitch slapping Karens on the internet. Like the Karens exist in all age groups to an extent, but the ones that are super like ritzy, privileged bitch shits that are in their like early 40s, late 30s, there's an equal number of progressive, we will fight for it and endure through anything and fight them. There is a Karen elder millennial war going on, and I watch it on TikTok and I live it. I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, I think the dairy farmer guy is technically more in Gen X. I think he's like in his upper 40s, but he is just ripping into the vegans, the militant vegans, and I love it. No, it's not the whole group, but there's probably will be some people living vicariously through their kids. Has always been pathetic to me. But that's the thing. Boomers, Gen X, there's millennials that do it. I had guys on the pit bulls in football that, you know, would push their 8-year-olds to go into football and be absolute beasts. You got to be manly. You got to own what you're doing. You got to make sure that you dominate on that field. Why, Edward? Because you don't. Yeah, trust me. I've seen it. I know. I know. People are going to do it through every generation. This pandemic, this lockdown, distance learning and stuff is not, it's just going to be the reason that this group does it. But there's always a reason that somebody does it before. Same goes with pageant moms, but they're the worst case scenario. Yeah, well, fuck Texas. Oh my God. I need to show you guys a video. It just, I lost my fucking shit looking at this one. Young kid in Russia. He rollerblades. He's part of their national team. I've never seen anybody do this on rollerblades before, and I almost threw up. Oh, what are you doing?
Is this the one you showed me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm letting this one roll through because I think this is the multiple stars one. Oh no. I keep forgetting which one it is. Because I've seen so many of his things. Oh, he's done multiple stars ones. Yeah, just watch this last one. There's a lot of stars for the last one. The dude is on the front rollerblade, sitting on his heel, and that's the only thing he's rolling on. He's just balancing on the front wheel of a rollerblade, sitting on the heel, and weaving in between tiny little cones. My 39-year-old ankles just, he cried. There's another one I saw where he like sat down on his heels, cross-legged, like he was sitting down lotus, lotus style, but his feet were going this way and he was balancing on the rollerblades this way with his ankles on the front wheel and was just going completely sideways. Ha. To be fair, you can do it with like, no body weight. I mean, it is muscular control, but it's a lot easier to do stuff like that when you do not have much weight. Like, as I found recently with a few things I do in the gym, and I'm just like, things would be so much easier if I didn't have, ton of extra weight lying around. Yeah, I followed him because I was like, whatever. He shows me crazy shit that people do on rollerblades. I don't ever expect to do stuff like that. I like the concept of rolling around and doing rollerblade stuff and being able to use it as a mode of transportation and stuff, but I'm getting my body ready for a different sport. Yeah, there's a number of Brits, though, that are like, America is just a meme at this point, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to find it, but you can literally just Google West Virginia vaccination bribe, I guess, and it'll bring it up.
Or lottery.
Announces big cash payout. Vaccinated residents aged 13 or 16 to 35 can now register to receive $100 savings bond or $100 gift card. Yeah, $100 savings bond. How fucking boomer is that shit? I mean, if anybody gave you, here's a savings bond, you'd be like, I had to dump my savings bonds. Mom mailed them to me because she was quasi losing it and just up and mailed them to me after she got my address. And I was like, okay. And like I said last time, that's why I needed to go to the embassy. That's why I went to the consulate. It's because I was like, how do I cash these? And finally I found out to do it at the bank. And then like, yeah, it's going to cost you a lot. Oh, he's still outside.
The door broken.
I don't know. It's entirely possible he made it in the main door if he didn't ring again. Yeah, I can't. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy about the.
This woman has committed a crime against homosexuality.
I love her. I love that hilarious Valley Girl voice. So I'm not going to play it because it'll demonetize the thing, because it did last week when I played a full song from TikTok. Because yeah, anyways, there's a 80s music challenge, and this girl was born in 1997, and she recognizes one song, kind of, out of a list of 10. One of my Irish gay people that I follow on here, who was born in 1991, it says this woman has committed a crime against homosexuality. And I said, I'm not going to play the video, but I had Aaron listen to that whole thing while he was laying in bed, and he was like, yeah, I know that song. Yeah, I know that song. Yeah, I know that song. You gonna air fry?
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, he's most likely singing along to every single song.
Yeah.
No, I am not. A little, but am I upset? No.
Many people have asked me, do you ever get mad? Of course I answer, well, yes. Everyone gets mad sometimes. The important thing is what we do with the mad that we feel in life. A few weeks ago, on my way home from a particularly tough day at work, I stopped to see my two grandsons. Their mom and dad weren't there, but the boys were there with the babysitter in the backyard, squirting water with hoses. I could see that they were really having fun, but I felt I needed to let them know that I didn't want to be squirted. So I told them so. And little by little, I could feel that the older boy, Alexander, was testing a limit, until finally his hose was squirting very close to where I was standing. I said to him in my harshest voice, okay, that's it, Alexander. Turn off the water. You've had it.
Something on TikTok. It's a long video. It's Mr. Rogers, but offset.
He did as I told him. He said he was sorry and looked very sad. The more I thought about it, the sadder I got. I realized that Alexander had not squirted me, and that I had stepped into his and his brother's play with a lot of feelings left over from work. So when I got home, I just called Alexander on the phone. I told him I felt awful about my visit with him. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I was taking out my anger from work on him.
Hello, John Trident.
I told him I was really sorry. Do you know how he answered me? He said,
Yeah, probably.
oh, Bubba. He calls me Bubba. Oh, Bubba, everybody makes mistakes sometimes. I nearly cried. I was so touched by his naturally generous heart.
I don't know anything about the road of perdition.
I might not have ever received that wonderful gift of
Oh, emojis. I was like trying to squeak. I feel like I get old sometimes with emojis. But it's wave, 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 smile, smile, smile. Oh, YouTube, YouTube. Gotcha.
Your girl when your girl when
Oof.
And what is that, bro? Gonna have to go mental.
There is a ninja.
I've also totally determined Panthers. Limited edition. Probably the only Bobcat figure I'm ever going to buy. I am not one of those people with a wall of Bobcat figurines.
Because my mother collected Star Trek figurines.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like I get money from the live streams anyways. But yeah, favorite team is the Seahawks. Okay. I have my issues with the city of Seattle.
So this is kind of new. I wasn't gonna say anything.
so I figured I'd give you guys an update after I took my boyfriend's kids to the park the other day.
Oh my God. I love how there's some
Dutch guys on that TikTok, they're getting super offended about body shaming, and other ones are like, I feel very attacked right now and I should probably go to the gym.
And that's what I was telling Gabriel today. I was like, I don't complain at anybody in the gym unless they're sitting there browsing on their phone for like 15 minutes when we only have 75. He's like, and that's understandable. But I'm like, if I see some skinny little like 15-year-old kid and he has got 5 kilos on each side of the squat bar and he is going down and going up and he's doing like 5 reps and he's just doing that, it's fine. He may not have all the strength in the world, and you have to start somewhere. If I see someone that looks like they just got off a Walmart scooter on that treadmill walking at just the snailest of pace, I don't care. If they're on that, I don't care. They got to the gym. They're not home watching Comedy Central. Okay. 1 to 10, what do you write football? What do you read it? What do I write football?
Rate.
Rate. I would have to say in the upper scale, 8, 9. I mean, it could be a 10, but that would imply perfection, and it's not. It's not perfect because the NFL exists. Well, and a little bit of the NCAA, but that also applies to other sports.
Boston. Your body so 16 reasons why.
Like I said, football, it all varies. Depends on what it is. I don't excuse you. Yeah. The NFL is weird. When you're outside of Europe, you start realizing how awkward it is. It's it's a corporation that does a lot to make money. And recently I've been thinking about a lot of stuff, especially when they're like, hey, the NFL may want to play a game or two during the season in Germany. And people in the States have been flipping out because you don't take football outside the United States. And I'm like, and then there's like a 50-50 on Europeans thinking like, okay, well, you're going to put NFL games in Europe, but are you going to like sign players from Europe? Are you going to take players that don't go through? And they're like, no, we're not going to have European NFL teams, but we're going to play our selected teams over there because we want your fan money, but we don't want you actually in our sport unless you go through our slave system of college. So it's a bit awkward. There's no way to really, there's no D league, there's no lower leagues to advance from and into. There's just the NFL. So the whole thing is there's about 75% positive comments on that video. There are 54 total comments. Most of them are very positive about the Dutch guys have no ass. There are 1,278 likes. So the 25%, so the about 10 comments that are like, you're being body shaming. Whatever. Dutch guys have no ass. They wear, and it's about skinny jeans too. You know, because you don't wear skinny jeans if you have an ass kind of thing, or you do and it accents it. Oh, pop, pop, pop.
My ice cream with my friends, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was wearing because they're my.
Pures, your friendly Sami.
Ah, good. Fried foods full of this nacho cheese stuff, right? Because I didn't get the chili cheese, because the chili cheese wasn't at Jumbo. Dutch guys are getting like frustrated. Not the grandma video. I think his English speakers on roller coasters. Wee! French speakers on roller coaster. No! Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much. I'll still watch NFL games because it's great to watch. It's great entertainment, and I could learn a few things by watching, you know, the guys that are at the professional level. I have no problems with the teams. Some of the organizations are a bit weird, but when you get to the corporate level of anything, things are a bit Like, yes, you may be able to go shop at Walmart and it has great prices, but that doesn't necessarily make them a great company. Because the general thing is, there is a very large, but not respective, American football community in Europe. At least every country in Europe has every country in Europe, except for the really tiny ones, have at least 2 levels of leagues. Germany has 7. Poland has 3. Italy has 3 or 4. And even the Netherlands has 2. I mean, 3, but this is like startup team. And when you finally get enough players, but you know, they're trying to get enough players. And so, but that's even 3 levels. Plus, you know, we've got 7 teams for women in the Netherlands. This country is the size of my area code back in Oregon. Oregon doesn't even have an NFL team. Yeah, the Netherlands is a size of 503. If you live in Oregon, you know what I mean. Used to live in Beaverton. So saying the Netherlands is the size of 503. Yeah. So you can imagine. And the fact that we have 8 teams in the top league, 8 teams in the next one down, and then, oh God, Lord, I can't, just probably 5 or 6 that are trying to start up and get enough players, and then 7 women's teams, and I think there's an 8th one coming up here pretty soon. That's like 30 teams, 30 American football teams in the size of 503. But, you know, Oregon doesn't have an NFL team. And the only college team that matters in Oregon is the Ducks because popularity. It's the new bandwagon college. Always people follow me on TikTok. I see people complaining like, man, I follow people on TikTok and they don't, and they don't follow me back. I'm like, you don't have any content. You don't publish your likes and you don't publish content. I'm not going to follow you. I follow people for content. Like I've had to go through my thing and I'm like, oh, look, this person gave up on TikTok. They haven't posted in a month. We were friends, but they just stopped posting. I'm just going to unfriend them. You know, I don't want to be the one person that has like a jabillion follows. It's like nobody, it's just TikTok. But like, I mean, I understand that there is semi-pro in Portland area. I think it still exists. Jeez, I don't even know. But no, I know that there's a couple teams that are still up and playing. Kind of lost contact of all those teams and getting their newsroom since I dumped off of Facebook. But I know that there's a team down in Eugene area. There's a couple up in the Portland area, but oh, Guardian, quit being so overdramatic. The party's over. Amsterdam's not going to let you pee in the streets anymore. They're going to give you a fine. What in the fuck is a Brit's problem? You can't have any fun if you can't pee in a fucking street? What's going on? Like, I literally saw the signs when I was down there for therapy, and they were just, it's you know, don't pee in the street. In certain areas, you get a fine if you're drinking in public, and no sleeping in your car. Actually, you know, rent a hotel. And they're going to start, you know, policing that within the centrum area. Not the Grafenhortel, just the centrum area where everybody likes to hang out. When the Guardian's like, party's over. The party is not over. You just have to be responsible tourist. You can't be just wandering around holistically drunk, falling from a third floor balcony into the canal and wondering why you're wet.
But if the British tourists aren't falling from the balconies, how will the duchies know that it's tourist season?
You got the dumbass Americans wandering in the bike lane thinking it's a road. Well, but that's the general thing about my issue with the NFL is it's horribly corporate, and some of the things they've allowed some players to do and get away with, and other things that they haven't. It's just
Disgusting.
yeah, disgusting. I'm also a bit sour about the whole Oregon Ducks because they're like, look, we have shiny new uniforms for every fucking game. And there's so much bleedingly money at that university. They're just literally blinged out, and everyone wants to play there because they just want to be blinged out. They may not be that good. They just want to be blinged out. And then but it was decades when the Beavers just whooped the crap out of the Ducks. The Ducks were nothing. They were the business university. Oregon State University had all the farm boys for agriculture and the hard workmanship stuff. And then the Ducks kind of got a little good because the Beavers fell into a recruitment black hole, recruitment drain spiral, is what Willie described to me once. And they haven't really been able to recover, but at the same time, the Ducks were able to pick it up, and they got super good, and they wound up getting Mariota, and he was a really talented QB for them, and they wound up getting a couple other people, and now everyone's just sort of riding this high, and they're not doing great. But yeah, it was crazy because people were just at the last Civil War game, not the last one I watched in the States. Might have been 2017 or something. They just the Ducks had their high with Mariota, and then they were going really good. They went, they had the national championship. They went up there, they did that thing, and then it sunk a little bit, and they were still really good because they were having good, recruitment stuff because of the previous stuff. But, they kind of kept falling because they were picking up way too many things. And then that Civil War, and I think 2017 happened, and the Beavers just came in and took no names. They didn't want to know the name of a fucking duck. And the Ducks fans are like, this is not how it's supposed to happen. Have you looked at the history of the Civil War? It's 75% Beavers. It's just something kind of went wrong for a little while. The Beavers is also the state animal. They are the university. They are the team of the state in the history. They just happen to not be it right now. That's why I call the Ducks kind of the bandwagon. You know, and that was part of it, because when I was first getting into, like, my dad went to OSU, but it was just because he had the GI Bill from Vietnam and stuff. It really wasn't. He was not a college going person. He had the money of the GI Bill after Vietnam and went and did a bunch of drinking and partying and had kind of the weird not frat lifestyle, and then on like a hangover drunken bet thing, they went and all of his friends went and applied for the railroad, and he wound up getting a job. And then was with the railroad for the next 440 million fucking years and retired fairly well off. But Dad always watched Beavers games. He always rooted for the Beavers. Like, I remember getting Dad the little, like, you'd pinch its paw and the little beaver with the hat would play the OSU fight song, and he'd do the little thing. Like, it was great. Like, it was still in their house somewhere. But his battery died years ago. But, you know, so when I was like, oh, I got to pick a team when I got into football, because, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I don't like the Seahawks because I hate Seattle as an actual city. So I started kind of rooting for the Patriots after a fashion because I thought their uniform looked the best. I had no idea, like, who Tom Brady at the time was. You know, I just sort of like looked at all the uniforms, discounted Seattle, and went, "Yeah, that one looks the best." And I looked at that one. But I was also trying to be a wide receiver at the time, and Julian Edelman was like kind of the weird hero guy. Yeah, kind of getting you on that one. That's the reason why I picked the Patriots. It was a completely arbitrary reason. I like the look of their uniforms. Anyways, but after time went by, I was like, okay, well, I'm not a good wide receiver. I'm a pretty terrible corner. And so I moved to linebacker, and I started looking around because I was starting to watch more football games, and I'd be like, I don't like watching the defensive backs. They're arrogant as hell. And I never felt like I agreed with the defensive back, cornerback mindset. And I always looked at, like, you know what? I want, you know, the super in the moment, hyper aggressive guys that have hearts of gold off the field. Guess who that's are? Middle linebackers. Like, I've seen the TikToks of people like showing up to college workout at 5:30 in the morning, and you're still, you know, because they're like, there's a wide receiver. And he's like, I still have like one bloodshot eye, but the linebacker, and then I suddenly see the linebacker on an overdose of pre-workout, and it just shows a guy like swinging from everything in the gym. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much right. So that's why when I started looking at, like, watching Luke Kuechly and all his film, and, you know, looking at him as a person, and I latched onto him as like my favorite player, and that was the Panthers. So I just sort of like left the Patriots. I was like, whatever. I wasn't attached to them anyways, and so I moved on to the Patriots because it's a better reason for me. I hated the Buccaneers and the Patriots because of Tom Brady. I mean, I don't hate any team. It's really hard to, because there's such a wide variety of people on the team. I could not like Seattle, but still be okay with Seahawks players and the Seahawks team overall. Still want to see their, you know, but the fact that when the Seahawks lose, Seattle feels bad. Because I am born, bred, Portland, fucking Oregon, and anything that makes Seattle cry, I am for. But that's the thing, is like, I don't really like Tom Brady. Does he have skill? Well, we thought maybe for a while he didn't actually have skill. He was just kind of a perfect key for a situation at the Patriots. But he showed off something on the Buccaneers. But I can't hate the Buccaneers. You know, like, are the linebackers for the Rams any good? They're probably average, you know. But the Rams have like blue uniforms, and I have a blue uniform, so I can't really hate them all that much because it's blue and yellow, and that's literally the colors of my team. We have to wear white because that's the off color, but the flag of Hilversum, the crest, is blue and white grains. I'm not sure what it is. I keep forgetting to ask. Yeah, I do not remember when that game happened, but there was such a collapse of his receivers, and the DBs were just smacking all over his receivers in one play. He was on the Patriots, and he like ran through the middle in this most like he looked like an antelope with Parkinson's trying to run up the field. Like, good God, dude. Your center is keeping up with you. Fuck off. But like nobody was hitting him because they still have that like mindset of like, oh yeah, don't hit the quarterback. Like literally, he got way too many yards for what he was, and he blew past people that should have tackled him and broken him like a twig, but they didn't, and it was weird. And everyone's like, yeah, Tom Brady can run. I'm like, no, Mahomes, no, he can run. Panthers quarterback, Bridgewater, he can run. But, you know, Roethlisberger cannot run. You know, but like some can, some can't. And that's what makes quarterbacks slightly different. You know, you may be able to have a long bomb, you may be able to have good reads, but you can't run. Okay, guess what? This system needs to have a bit more running backs or pocket protection. You don't need to have the best lineman if you have one that can't. That's true, but some of them can. I have seen some that like. So here's a hypothetical situation. It's not going to happen. He's way too out of practice. But Julian Edelman actually went through college at Kent State as their quarterback. He then retrained to be a wide receiver to get into the NFL because he wasn't good enough. That's why numerous times during, you know, the season the couple seasons I was watching the Patriots, they would pass it out and they would have him long bomb it to like Amendola or something. Because that is a valid play, and it's always wonderful when you have a backup quarterback as one of your receivers, who's also a damn good receiver. You know, and to an extent, I kind of used that as a bit of motivation for myself. Is Julian Edelman went through youth, high school, college as a quarterback. And suddenly, like, his first job in the NFL, he was a wide receiver. He was a slot receiver on top of that. Like, you can change positions and still get into the elite stuff. To be fair, he didn't go to a defensive side of the ball. Oh, I need to drink more. Things are dry. Yes. But that's... I mean, like I said, but there are some that can run, and that's great. And like I said, and if you build a system around that quarterback, at least for that season, then you can learn to exploit the defense that way. Because if the quarterback can run, you don't need to have a very secure pocket. But also, like, if you don't have a quarterback can run, but he's really good at finding the receivers really fast, and your receivers are really good at short routes, dink and dunks, Brady to Edelman, you can start doing 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 1 yard. And you just do a run in there. 3 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, third down, boop, new down. little ash dink and dunks, anything that progresses down the field. And it's fine, you know, but you have to realize the system that you're in. And if you don't have a good offensive line and you don't have a quarterback that can run, you start having piles. You start having, you know, and especially if you go against some defense, you know, some defenses, and those defensive ends just get around your tackles like it's a horse show in a barrel, then you could literally, that's how many quarterbacks I've seen in the last couple of years have just like completely blown their ankle out or blown their knee out because they were caught off guard. To be fair, they take that risk. Hello, Jeremiah. Yes. I saw Jeremiah. My mouse pointer was over the J, and I made an assumption there. Cheese bread. Gabriel said that you're not going to feel muscle soreness because we are doing all concentric movement. You're going to have me do bench presses with a sled? I literally was down in like linebacker stance with like Olympic rings right here, and I was just slowly pushing with the when there's no offensive emojis in there. It's just burger, magic sword, magic sword, magic sword, magic swords. You know, choppy, choppy, chop. What was that fucking Australian that he said? Like, he didn't call it an axe, he called it a splitty. And I had to look at all those emojis. I was like, well, there's nothing really offensive in there. Can it really even see? Is that a magic sword? Call it a magic sword. Exactly. I don't know. You just added a bunch of emojis in. Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a lot more that I filmed, but the stupid thing I explained later in the video that I went over there, snuck a drink of water early, and set up the camera towards the thing. And then I walked back to continue doing more drill, and they were like, slow your water. And I'm like, oh, okay. We're going to sit here for like 4 minutes of film, just sort of sitting there. But if I go and pay attention to the camera, they're going to know I'm filming. You know, I'm like, I just want to get a couple reps of me doing something. But yeah, I wound up getting one there at the very end, but that's something I've told my teammates is sometimes after a rep, I have to take a little moment and just like pull back out, because as linebackers are wanting to do, you can just, you know, you can just get that full exertion. I mean, like I said in some of my other, Bill is not a small guy. He is like 6'4" and probably 20 pounds heavier than me. I mean, he's a good offensive lineman for our level of football. But yeah, you can even hear one of our defensive ends. He was even cheering on Bill. He's like, go Bill, go Bill. Oh shit. But that's the thing is, like, even before that on those drills, I was not being pushed down. Like, we were having struggles with the, you know, thing, because the idea is to get to the other end of the bag drill and to get to, I think I called it a push-a-war. And, you know, I'm trying to do that only like once, and I slipped with my foot because the cleats are weird and they don't dig into hard dirt. And that was it. I was not actually moving backwards too terribly much, but that's, yeah. Like I said, it was not a bad practice, and that was actually a really good thing. And, you know, people were like, oh, well, you know, I had someone DM me and they're like, well, you did catch him a little off guard, you know, he's an offensive lineman, he was in a bad stance. I'm like, he started off in a stance where I would normally catch him as a linebacker. Like, Bill should probably have been in his normal offensive lineman stance against defensive linemen in a 3-point stance. But by the time my ass is getting up there in the next couple of seconds, he's already off his like offensive line 3-point stance, even moving backwards. So it was a little bit more for what, yeah. Yeah, I think they're called molded overall. I'm going to wear my blue ones tomorrow. I have more of the peg style. See if those help a little bit more. Because I hadn't actually had the molded in a while, but usually our field is a bit softer than it is recently. But yeah, they're molded plastic. Yeah, you guys see these? They are molded at the bottom, and they'd be good because they got the little shovels, and they're great for when our field hasn't been dried out by, I don't want to call this a sun wave because we haven't had a heat wave. It's not overly hot. It's only in the mid 70s. Yes. Like I had to do conversion from Celsius. As I tell you guys, it's been about 24 degrees about every day. Yeah, these are alphas and they're good. Just not very good because these things don't punch into the ground when you have kind of dry clay dirt. Our field's being torn up. If you guys saw that same vlog, the metal plates were down to allow some sort of machinery to move around. So I'm not sure if they started anything on Friday, but we should still have the field use for tomorrow. And then next Thursday is probably going to be all. Yeah. But that's the thing is I feel weird that everyone, like for years, people were saying, you should get Adidas ones, you should get Adi Zeros, they're the best cleats ever, blah, blah, blah. And after 2 practices, best cleats ever, and they break in 2 practices. Like, yeah. So the best way to learn another language, especially when living in its home country or its main country, is to immerse yourself. That's why they call it immersion training. So during warm-up, sometimes I will just listen to all the guys talk. I'll try to pick one person and just listen to what they're saying. But the chairman of the club, who kind of goes through and finance, he worries about all this stuff with the financing. He was like, if we spent, €1 million or €500,000, 500, it was like 500,000 or something, we could get a turf field, just like Arnhem has and all the other stuff. But redoing the field as grass and dirt and all that stuff. We're also putting a sprinkler system in. So bonus there, we will water it if we have days like this where it hasn't been raining for 13 days straight. It feels like we haven't rained all of June. But they're just putting in grass in a small sprinkler system. But last summer, was it last summer? Yes. Last summer, we actually had a heat wave, and they put a bunch of, because the city controls all of its fields. We effectively rent the field from the city. I don't know how it fully works. So we rent that, and they take care of it, and they maintain it. And they came out to put new grass down, like grass seeds down and all that stuff. And they did that in like June of 2020. And then in July, we had a terrifyingly bad heat wave where the sun felt like it didn't set for a long time, and we didn't get enough water on it. And so the whole field basically scorched and didn't grow back right. And then when we started practicing in like late August with like pads, we had to go over to our baseball field and practice in the outfield where the grass was. But that's like super slippery grass, because baseball people don't do what football does on a field. So it's nice grass. It's grass you can lay in. It's a park situation. And then the football players come out to it. It's like, ugh. But because they were reseeding it again and trying to fix it. And yeah, they didn't do anything when we closed everything up in October. They didn't fix anything. So now they're like, okay, well, it's burnt, it's bad. And so, yeah. They are just like, they're digging down, I think, maybe a foot, I would guess. I don't really know. I'll be able to see if they start tearing it up, because we're going to practice somewhere else in our field, in the complex. So that we will do that. And so I'll see what they're digging up and stuff. But like I said, they're going to completely fix the field and make it the proper length. They measured wrong 35 years ago. So the end zones are actually a big. I just want to chalk this one up to the whole meters yards discrepancy. But back in when they were like lining the field and setting up the goalposts and everything in 1985, the end zones are actually like 8.5 yards deep, not 10. So hopefully, since they're going to tear up the field, they can move the goalposts back a little bit so we can have a proper length field. At least it's nothing like Groningen or Rotterdam. Jesus Christ. I never took a picture of it, or did I? I would have to look up that on my phone. As much as I can, he's not much under the social media stuff. In fact, his current girlfriend even yells at him because of that. He's like, why don't you ever answer my messages? Blah, blah, blah. I DM you all the time. And he's like, I know, I just never get onto it. Like, he'll share stuff, but he never checks any receives messages. So I do talk to him, and like we'll have bursts of talking once every 3 or 4 months. And then he's like, I feel really bad for not checking my messages, but I forget so much. I'm like, I know you do. You weren't addicted to your phone like I am. I don't think he's playing because of the league situation in Oregon is so craptastic. Okay. When did we go to Groningen? That was after Paris, because they try to make sure that the last game of the preseason was Groningen. So there's a game, I think, against Leiden. There's my new face mask box. There's Intercity. I'm not even sure I got a picture of this one. This is all of our practices and stuff the day of the Atlantic Cup. Then there's the game in Leiden. I didn't get a picture. Oh, no, because we did Groningen first. I did not take a picture of it. Yes, I did. What's wrong with this picture? Hang on. I'm going to turn off auto rotate so that I can actually show you the way you're supposed to see that picture. Hi, Matt. The two 40-yard markers are 5 yards away from the 50. Like, the turf field is literally that color. They can't, like, reline it unless they tear up the whole field. I think it's not that bad. It's not so obvious that our field is not the correct length. But the thing is I think the Groningen and Rotterdam share a field cost and why they have a weird turf with a rugby team. So that's why the field is of a different length. And they lined it for football, but it didn't match up very well. So they just shaved things off the middle. And yeah, I had to do the stats for one of those games up in Groningen. And I literally asked the guy who used to do did stats. I was like, Maurice, how do I count this? How do I count this? Thomas ran from 140 to the other side of the 50. He ran 7 yards. Counted as 12. What? He ran 7 yards. Well, from the 40 to the 50 is 10 yards. And then he ran 2 yards beyond the other side. What? Yeah. What? It's just how it goes. We've always done it that way. All right. Good on you, Good on you, Thomas, for getting a great yardage. How's everything going? Well, I'm eating nacho cheese things, not chili cheese, because Jumbo didn't have the nacho cheese. I've got cheese bread in front of me and pizza. Oh, hello there, Jelly Duck. I've been seeing Jeremiah and John showing up, and then I saw Jelly Duck, and my brain sort of went, yep. By the way, I don't know if it's the weather or not, and this is a little bit off. This is horribly off topic of football. They are really chucking out those wind turbines. Like I think I can probably ride the bike out to Dashric and probably get a good view of them if I just head up to the little lookout point up there near the Furtoren. I don't think I can go out to the Furtoren, but whatever. But I looked out there and I saw, when I went out to the beach, I looked and I saw and I was like, oh my God, are there like 2 of them out there? And then I glanced back and I was like, oh my God, are there 4 of them out there? And then like 3 more have gone by over here. I'm like, what the hell? I'm going to put up a small ass wind farm out in the middle of the water. Like I said, it's only like 4 meters deep out there. So. It's kind of funny watching some of the old high guard German teams like struggling right now because their local city has struck up an ELF team, and so their good players went on to go play at the higher level. So like Stuttgart isn't doing as good as it was the previous seasons. Because they have the Stuttgart Surge. I'm going to check time and date because it's just like, oh my God, the sun is still up. I know it's still up. It's like 8:30, so. $12:05. The day I get vaccinated. It's June 18th. It technically, oh, okay, no, one day it dips to 10:06 as a sunset. And that's, yeah. But then sunrise is happening at like 5:18 in the morning. Sunrise today at 5:18 in the morning. 48 degrees northeast, which is why we're having such a problem with needing to close all the blinds and stuff, because our apartment faces northeast, where basically the sun comes up over the horizon. This country is flatter than, well, flatter than a pancake, flatter than a pannekuchen. And yeah. It's so funny. I was actually trying to be a little sports hipster with Gabriel today, and I was like, "Yeah, I went to go look out for some sport fields to get some stuff done for workout and stuff, and do some linebacker stuff." He goes, "Oh, really? Where?" And I was like, "Oh, over by the arena." He goes, "Oh yeah, they got a lot of fields over there." Unless there's a massive soccer tournament going on. There's a soccer tournament going on? I was like, yes. How did I know that over you? I don't really pay attention to soccer. Okay, whatever. I mean, there's people in the States that don't pay attention to football. They're like all on the baseball. Every time I think about baseball in the States, I always think of high school baseball. And the fact that when it comes down to steroid usage, it's like as Willie said, he goes, in every school, it was in the Portland area, every high school, the most predominant usage of steroids was from the baseball guys because they don't do enough to activate manliness. So they take steroids so they can lift big in the gym because their sport doesn't require it. Oh, it's over there. Crap, gotta read Dutch. Pfizer or Moderna? Moderna. One of those two. I don't think they've approved the other one that kills kills people for people under the age of like dinosaur. But yeah, the vaccine appointment is on a Friday, and several people in the fitness world have definitively agreed. My couple guys on the team and Gabriel and have agreed that it's probably not great to, deal with contact the day before I get a thing because I don't need to have like a slightly painful shoulder in case there's a lot of scar tissue on this tattoo, so they do it in this shoulder, and I'm just like, oh, can you not? I was too busy lifting linemen one-handed because, something like that. I don't know which one I'm getting. I don't even think they know which one I'm getting. I'm just like one of those two, and whatever they happen to have in stock. This chiropractor guy. I love his fitness body debunking. I even covered what he said about the fact that you can do a rolled back deadlift with Gabe at the thing. And he goes, oh yeah, it's actually not that great to do it with an enforced straight back. The deadlift, you can like roll up with it. In fact, he says what he does is he uses a kettlebell, or if he needs to go heavier, and he starts from a standing up position and like hunches his back over. And what it does is it pulls down more and it kind of opens up your upper back and all those little muscles in there. I'm expecting the first shot to kick my fucking ass. Because the general bulk of people I understand are like, oh man, I got one of those. I got one. It's fine. I got one. And then they go get their second one and they're laid up for like a week. And I'm like, oh, why did that one hit my ass so much? Well, I guess it's the second one. And other people who are like, why did the first one hit me so hard? And doctors are like, yeah, you probably had it before. And it's entirely possible that Aaron had it at roughly the same time I did, despite the fact, I mean, it's also possible he didn't have it, and he was totally asymptomatic and didn't get it. I mean, you were kind of sick at that time?
Yes, I probably had it.
Okay.
You were bouncing back and forth between probably did, probably didn't, may have not.
Because I don't have a good memory of that time because I was horribly sick,
Yeah.
whether or not you were sympathetically sick or actually sick.
Oh, you mean that thing I wouldn't have been able to tell?
True. But yeah, I don't think the side effects are going to be minimal. That hasn't been my history with medications. If I get them, they are there. So it was the customer issue last week. It's been long enough. Taken a while, I guess, since it was such a big, long ordeal. It wasn't a Karen. What?
I hiccuped. You
Oh.
often look at me when I hiccup.
So it wasn't one or two very big things. It was you were being nibbled to death by cats. Those earth creatures. Feathers, webbed feet, long bill, goes quack. Cats.
Yes, cats.
So love the fact that you described everything about it. He knew the word for beak. He knew the web for webbed feet, feathers, augment, goes quack. He even knew the sound quack, but couldn't think of the name. And when he asked a guy who probably didn't know English very well, he just spat out a name of an animal from Earth. And I can't tell if the joke worked better because the animal was also a single syllable name, or if it would have worked better if they'd have slightly gotten, if they'd have been like swan. Yes, I'm being nibbled to death by swans. Like similar but got a wrong animal, or like platypus. Platypus? Platypus? I'm being nibbled to death by platypus. Or something like I don't know if it was the fact that it was just really short and just the wrong animal, or if it would have been funnier the other way. He probably bounced around with numerous of animals trying for that. The only Karen issue I had was someone who was upset that another person was playing their music too loud in the parking lot. I never have actually known if that's a problem that the restaurant covers, or like for me, I worked at restaurants. If like Taco Bell, well, I guess in Taco Bell we had our own parking lot. So it would be our problem. But like big chain stores like where Best Buy was in Beaverton shared it. Like, how far out does Best Buy go before it turns into I forgot what was across.
Red Lobster?
Is there a Red Lobster there? McGrath's.
McGrath's.
There's a fish place. She wanted you to call the police because someone was doing something in a public space. I mean, that's a Karen. I mean, I'm not trying to rationalize or degrade or whatever on it. That's exactly what they do. Get the police involved for something that... But that's like I said, that's the question. Like, when a store has a very large parking lot of their own volition, like Walmart's do, obviously they have security control over that. But like Best Buy at Beaverton shared it with like, it was just like one of the large stores on the outside of the mall, you know. So it's like, that would be mall security. Yeah, what did you do? You didn't do anything. I was like, what is it? It's just a... And like, the best thing I can think of and how I rationalize Karens and how they do things in the world, I understand that they have some pesky ideas about race and, you know, stuff like that. But then there's like, it doesn't really matter about some things. It has nothing to do with any negative connotation about like homosexuality or race. It's just like playing their music too loud. And it's like, they've taken their little protective bubble and turned it into like a zone of me. It's not just for the social bubble to feel comfortable. It's if this thing enters, it's now my problem, which includes sound from other people outside. Like they don't realize that they're in a public space anymore. I've heard some stories from the San Francisco area where people are, where like the ladies have pulled out like not kitchenware, but like pens and stabbed people for like reaching into their watermelon pile that they were trying to find the best watermelon. They just stab someone. Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, catch you next stream. I'm going to get something more to drink because I still have a lot of food. It's very dry.
Radiation. This is basically leftover radiation, leftover light from the Big Bang, and it's everywhere. Now, in the last few decades, astronomers have been trying to put together a map of this radiation, and this is what that map looks like. Now, this map, at first glance, is extremely uniform. The red spots are slightly hotter, and the blue spots are slightly colder, but these differences are minuscule. However, something really weird starts to happen when we do some statistical analysis on this data. It turns out that there's a slight asymmetry in this radiation. Now, that in itself is pretty weird, because we kind of expect that the universe is symmetrical everywhere. But it gets even weirder when we look at what this line of difference aligns with. It aligns with the Earth's rotation of the sun, or rather, the axis of our solar system. That means that Earth and our solar system is in some way aligned to the rest of the universe, and we have no idea why. Our solar system is a lot younger than the cosmic microwave background radiation, which is 13.8 billion years old. Our solar system is roughly 4.5 billion years old. So why, after that length of time, would there have been some alignment going on? Ever since Copernicus came up with the heliocentric theory, basically saying that the Earth revolved around the sun, removing Earth from the center of the universe, physicists and astronomers have been operating on something called the Copernican principle, basically saying that we're going to assume that our place in the universe, our viewpoint looking out, isn't special. We don't have any privileged seat in the universe. This data, this result, fundamentally challenges that. And this isn't just one result either. This has been confirmed by 2 different telescopes, with a paper as recent as last year using different methods to arrive at the same conclusion. Now, there's no consensus on this. Some astronomers say that, you know what, these results probably come about due to interfering effects from nearby galaxies, and others say that, you know what, maybe it's just random chance. But even they admit that this is very unlikely. Maybe when we understand more about how the Big Bang happened, we'll...
But, you know, all pre-practice anxieties happen. It's just... what I thought were pre-practice anxieties is apparently by a lot of people, even pre-game, it's just the jitters. So that was like Thursday's video where I was like, I'm having a little bit of anxiety, but I was still dealing with the after effects of that. But the main chat is going on right now about the similar event, and it's not hitting me as the same. So it just blindsided me last weekend.
And why this occurred. But until then, it's super interesting to me that we've gone from a place of assuming the Earth is the center of all things to as far away from that view as we can possibly get. And maybe, just maybe, the truth is somewhere in between those 2 extreme views. So there's this really...
You know you can use Fibonacci to convert from miles to kilometers.
Oh, I want to hear your shit.
Reduces your carbon footprint by 73%. Plus,
Oh, good. We moved on to the point where we're just making up numbers.
What?
no, seriously. It reduces your carbon footprint by 73%. Plus,
Oh, good. We moved on to the point where we're just making up numbers. There's no sources in her video anywhere to back that up. Here's some fun facts about dairy. I've attached a YouTube link with a bunch of really good information. I don't think she realizes that the dairy industry's goal is to be carbon neutral by the year 2050. That's a big deal. Watch the YouTube link in the description. I'll put one in the comments. It'll show you what would happen if we basically just eliminated dairy farms tomorrow. Here's the reply I expect from people who are against dairy. Why would I trust a video from a dairy website? You have no problem trusting your information from a vegan website. And all the studies from vegan websites aren't even peer-reviewed or anything. Every bit of data you'll watch in this YouTube video is peer-reviewed and run through the ringer and not released unless it's accurate. Same cannot be said for anything in Cowspiracy or Dominion. If we put out facts that are a lie, we have to backtrack and apologize for it. Cowspiracy did no such thing. Cowspiracy said cows are responsible for 51% of GHGs. A year later, they said, oh, wait, it's 17%. But I bet you didn't know that. Anyways, watch the video. Hear it, because unlike her, it's reliable.
Listen. Okay, so I know everyone's like, I look so cute as like a Disney character. Look at me, I'm so hot with this filter. You all.
I can't find this filter for the life of me.
Okay, so I know everyone.
I can't.
I'm guessing it's iPhone.
Yeah. Or it's USA only. That's possible. But yeah, there is, like I said, I don't know if, oh God, Euro 2020, UEFA, who do I support? I don't even know what fucking flag that is, bye.
I look so cute.
Excuse me, Coda. I don't mean to interrupt your peaceful morning, but I need to borrow your collar, okay? Now what? I mean, I don't want to kink shame you, man, but this is TikTok. Coda, will you please accept my apology for torturing you? You too, Mace. Do you know what happens to dogs who don't wear collars and they get loose? They die. They die. You want that to happen? Because we don't.
I'm so sorry I've been lying to you for all this time. Turns out really that actually I don't need this.
Comment, stop faking conditions. It turns out I don't need my whole leg underneath my knee. Pulls it off, drops it, takes a step forward into the leg that doesn't exist. Just.
I'm so sorry I've been lying to you for all this time.
I love these guys.
Actually, I don't need this. I'm so sorry.
Like,
Now.
it's just the. I don't know why the amputees are getting on TikTok and just
owning it.
Yeah. Like, to be fair, the one guy has made like costumes involved with that. Like, he's had the gingerbread with the leg missing. He's made like the popsicle and all that jazz. He went as a pogo stick one year. But 9 o'clock. 2 views, 6 likes, 3 hours. I'm gonna finish food and take some pills and go to bed. I'll see you guys all next week. Same time, same channel, same topics. Hopefully, more football stuff. Wait. I might be pretty stupid. We may not have a live stream next week. I have to consider that one. we'll discuss that as the vlogs happen. Stay tuned.